Bonjour, my name is Richard Rasner, and I am the Commandant of Clan Darksail. I play the Marquis de Gascony. You may have seen our other videos of me doing that character. Today, however, I'm going to talk about doing a new character, Jen Lafitte, this time a historical character. So, unlike when I portray the Commandant, who is a fictional character, and I can sort of have carte blanche with my costume, when doing a historical character, I, along with the rest of Darksail, when we portray historical characters, like to really go for incredible detail and historical authenticity as best we can, especially with a character like Jen Lafitte, who is notoriously hard to come by authentic accounts of. In this case, this is the portrait that I'm actually going to copy. It's the most famous portrait of Jen Lafitte. Unfortunately, it is in fact, and I quote, based on eyewitness accounts after he died. There's no actual known portraits of Jen Lafitte during his lifetime, other than one where he and his brother Pierre are hanging out in Dominique Yu's bar, but it's a sort of a faraway shot. It's more of a little smudgy bludge than anything that I can work with. There's one other portrait of Jen Lafitte shown here that is actually pretty nice, but everyone, if you go anywhere in New Orleans or Galveston, Texas, where Lafitte hung out, you will see this picture quite often. And so this is the picture that I'm going to work with. Now, a couple things before we get started. Obviously, I'm going to have to shave here because this is not the right facial hair setup. We'll come back to that in just one second. But I'm going to talk a couple little things. First off, you look in this portrait on the book, a little close-up view for you here. You'll notice that his sword appears to be on his left hand, so on his right hand side rather, which would make him left-handed. Now, we know from Jen Lafitte's own letters and first-hand documentation of the time period that he was not, in fact, left-handed, but right-handed. So what we can surmise is probably that this is a woodcut that has been stamped, so therefore it's in reverse. So I will be wearing the sword on the right-hand side. Speaking of sword, I want to talk a little bit about the accessories I'll be using to bring this character to life. One is the sword. You can look at the sword in the picture. You can kind of see it's the same thing. It's got a thin D-ring that comes into a larger bell guard with a small hook on the back, and it's a hanger, meaning it goes, unlike in the Golden Age piracy where we hang our swords kind of at a 45, these hang straight up and down. It's got two belt things here, and a little fleur-de-lis on it, because, hey, he's French, so we want the fleur-de-lis sword. This can be purchased online for $35 to $65. These are not very expensive pieces, but it happens to work for what we're looking for right now. The other accessory he has in the picture that I wanted to make sure I had on me is a spyglass. Now, the spyglass he has in his hand looks awfully small for the ones they used in the time period. Spyglass tend to be fairly large because the optics weren't as good as they are now. But I have here a small leather Tesco spyglass. These run about $35 as well. That I'll be carrying around with me while portraying Jen, because that's about the size he has in the picture. So, let's see what we can't do about this facial hair. And then we'll come back and I will tell you piece at a time what I'm wearing, where I got it, about how much it costs, and how and why I put all this together, like I said, in what capacity I chose these items over other ones, and so on and so forth. Alright, now that I have the requisite facial hair, I realized while I was shaving that I didn't tell you why I'm doing this. If you're a fan of Clan Darksail, you know we are in fact the Royal French Privateers of Clan Darksail. But this particular French privateer, Jen Lafitte, is an early 19th century privateer. As it turns out, Clan Darksail has an offshoot group called the Whiskey Flat Players, and we do all kinds of Old West Victorian, and in this case a Mexican-American War event in the mid-1840s. And they prefer to have historical characters at these events, and so I'm portraying Jen Lafitte. Some people say Jen Lafitte died in the early 1830s. Most people believe now that he died in the 1850s, according to his own journal. So we're going to kind of work with that. And even though I'm portraying him towards the end of his life, the portrait, again, that we're using is from right around the War of 1812, because that's when he was at his height of popularity. So before we get to the stuff you can see in the portrait, I'm going to show you the stuff that you can't see. So one of the first, the pair of pants I'll be wearing for Jen Lafitte is a pair of drop front fly trousers from James Townsend Company. It's called Townsend's now online. And you can find, almost everything I got was from them because they are a mostly Revolutionary War. They tend to go in later in the 19th century as well, clothing. But that's what I was needed for this time period. So I've got these drop front fly trousers here. They have buttons down leg. They're knee-high breeches, which is very popular in the time period. These are made of linen, and you get those again from James Townsend. I am going to be wearing, where are my socks here? Okay. Plain cotton socks. You do cotton or wool. I chose cotton because, one, I'm in Southern California. It's very warm out here. Also, Jen Lafitte in the Baratarian Islands and outside Louisiana was also quite warm and humid, so I thought perhaps cotton over wool. Again, also James Townsend. You can pick these up there. And then lastly, I think the most important thing we have that you can't see in the portrait that I'll be wearing are Jen Lafitte's shoes. They're shoes for his Lafitte. These are from Fugawi's. I might be pronouncing it. Fugawi? Fujawi? I don't actually know the pronunciation. I'll put the website on a video here. But they've been making shoes since 1986. They do extremely historically accurate footwear. This particular, let me get you the right, let me look at my notes to get you the right name of these shoes. These are the Concords, and with the rough side out, because I prefer that myself. And they come in, the nice part about this company is they make shoes in everything from single, regular to quadruple E wide. And this is a 10.5 double wide, which is what I wear. But they are really quite nice. The buckles are sold separately. I chose the military brass buckle, or bronze buckle, because it is more accurate to what Jen Lafitte would be wearing. They are properly hobnailed on the heel and stitched all along here. I will likely take some sandpaper and scuff them up a little bit so I have some better traction, which I also recommend if you plan on wearing historically accurate shoes to any event. Leather soles until you wear them in are quite dangerous. So those are all the things below the belt you can't see, so I'm going to put those on, and then we will jump back into the stuff you actually can see in the portrait. All right, now that we have on the drop front fly trousers, I've also went ahead and put on my shirt, since it has to tuck into the pants. This is the, I believe they call it the 19th century, 18th century rather, shirt with ruffle. Although we are doing 19th century. This is the shirt very most closely depicted in the picture. If you look very closely, you can see both ruffles at the waist and the same collar. This is also from Townsend's. I know this is starting to look like a commercial for Townsend's, but they do make great historical clothes, and from the right period. So it comes with wooden buttons, and it's very nice. I should point out, Jen Lafitte was not married. We'll take off the wedding ring. So the next thing I'm going to put on, you can see towards the bottom of the portrait, you can see that he's wearing a waistcoat. I'm going to go ahead and throw that on. Now, both the drop front fly trousers and the waistcoat are custom made from Townsend. They take your measurements, you send them in, and it takes a little bit longer to get than the other stuff you can maybe order right off the rack. But you're a lot happier when you do. You get a little tag that says handmade by the person that made it. In this case, I think this one said handmade by Becky. So I'm going to put on, this is the pants are linen, this is canvas. You can get this one in linen too. Because so very little of it showed, I thought that perhaps that was my best bet. I'll back up so my head's not cut off. Alright. So, and as the style of the time period, you're going to leave the bottom one or bottom two undone. I'm going to do the bottom two in this case. Adjust my strap in the back here. There's a small canvas adjustable strap. As you can see here, helps keep it fitted around the stomach. Let me angle this camera up a little bit here. Less of my head is cut off. All right, excellent. The other thing you see him wearing in the thing is his tie. It's just a little red silk cravat. I got this one on Etsy. You can find them pretty much anywhere. And it actually ties like a modern tie. I, of course, don't have a mirror, so I'm doing this in the camera's monitor. Alright, there again, much easier to do if I had a mirror rather than a monitor. Okay, so last major part of this upper section, of course, is the coat. And as you can see in the picture, again, it's a blue naval coat from around the War of 1812. So we have one of these here. Townsend's listed as their marine or sailor coat. And it is a proper double-breasted coat, which means that you can button it with the flaps folded back, or in the case like we have in the portrait, we're actually going to button them, button it over, like so. And then I also have, you see in the portrait, the little anchors. I found these pens on eBay for a couple bucks. They weren't very expensive. I'm sure you can find some of your own. I may also embroider them on there at some point. I'm not really sure. Now, in the picture, they show the coat spreading at the bottom, which is weird because it's double-breasted. I'm going to chalk it up to artistic license because I can't actually do that with this coat. But, again, that's an artist rendition of what people said Lafitte looked like. So we're kind of doing our best to match it without being too perfectly strict. So he's got it about 3 buttons up, I think, and then folded back again so you can see his tie and coat. Alright, so while we were out changing up the video card, I went ahead to the studio bathroom and straightened this out a little bit because it's a lot easier to do in a mirror than, of course, it is on a monitor. So, got the basic look going. We're going to throw on the belt and sword. It's difficult to see what kind of belt fixture is on in that woodcut, but what I chose is this double-pinned brass buckle. I'll bring it a little closer here. Very similar to the buckles on the shoes, very popular in the time period. So, and he wears it over his coat in this portrait, plus, of course, again, we have our sword here. So actually, let's do it this way. Set that down for a moment. Let's make this easy on ourselves. All right. So we string that through. And it is just a double hanger, a very easy type of frog. I have another sword from the same time period on a baldric, but I may also switch it up if I need to be. We'll take the sword on and off. But we just string that through like that. He wears it up high on the natural waist, right around the belly button. Not at the modern waist, which is close to your hips. So, there we have the belt and the sword hanger for the straight hanging cutlass. Alright, now at this point in a normal video, this is where they'd be showing you, somebody would be showing you how to put on a wig cap to keep in all those stray hairs and tuck it in and glue it in place. I clearly don't have that problem. Just going to put the wig on. This lovely 1970s Burt Reynolds look here is, I got it from Etsy. It's around about $50. And I, again, don't need a wig cap, but I do need to tighten the straps quite a bit in the back because I have no hair to hold it in place. So I've got the hooks almost at their closest setting on there. And then it's got some pads to help hold it in place as well. You take that and slide on, make sure these pads in front of the ears, this one's on the forehead, and the ones in the back are in place. I know what you're thinking. Very stylish. Last but not least, we have Lafitte's hat, which is a cavalier made out of leather. This one is from the company Wren Boots. They can also be found on Etsy and I believe at wrenboots.com. And it's got a taller cap, a taller crown than the one in the portrait. I did that on purpose. If you look at the other portrait, the red portrait, you'll see he's wearing a very tall crown cap, which was more popular in the early 19th century. So that's what I chose. I've got a hat jack in here, which keeps the leather hat from shrinking. You can buy these online on eBay or Amazon. I got that one from Townsend. Again, I know you're shocked. I like their stuff there. So we simply just put this on a little hair in the front here. Pull our hat on tight over the wig. And voila, Jen Lafitte, gentleman privateer for the American Army in the Battle of 1812. Battle of New Orleans, War of 1812, that's what I meant. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll have some links down in the below section where you can order these things and look at stuff. If you have any questions, please feel free to message me here, comment, write us at info at clandarksail.com, all one word. And I can tell you where I bought stuff, I can send you links, I can help you out if you have any questions about Jen Lafitte or what we're doing. And thanks so much for watching, tuning in. Hope you enjoyed this short little video, give you just an idea of the amount of effort and historical creativity we put into doing these things in Clan Darksail. And this total, by the way, for the whole outfit, in case you're wondering, came in just over $1,000, right around $1,025. So, in case you're planning to do it yourself, understand it's not an inexpensive undertaking. Have a great day.